What does freedom mean to you at 2018?
2018, freedom should be the ability for everybody to go to a bank and get the same benefits and loans as everybody else. Freedom, as I was speaking to another student earlier today, I was telling them that when you throw stuff at people, like traditionally with black people, especially like growing up in the 60s, white people didn't like to give you your change in your hand. Instead, they would put it on the counter. Or you're familiar with, you couldn't drink out the same water fountain, you couldn't go to the same bathroom, you couldn't eat at the same places, everything was separate. So even though we've moved past some of that, foolishness, we still have it where certain neighborhoods, you might not be able to go into if you're African American or a minority. Maybe some golf clubs, so certain things that you still don't have access to, as a minority in the United States. So it would be excuse me, if we were to move past all those type of things, where everybody would have access to everything, and we could just look past color and differences and just be able to work together, get along, and make this a better country.
It's the only country where that's even no other country has the amount of freedom of speech that we do. Like, if you go to even all the places that people say are better, you can't go out and say whatever you want, do whatever you want, or say whatever you want and not get in trouble for it.
No, it still happens here, only not on the same scale as it does in other countries. Like, people, I was just, it was just happening in the news. I was listening to ESPN, and they brought up how somebody went back and dug up Kyler Murray's old tweets, and it said, because he made a homophobic joke or homophobic comment, and now as soon as he wins the Heisman, people want to go back and try to dig up dirt on something that he achieved, but that's where I think that freedom of speech is limited in the country, because you can say whatever you want, but once you accomplish something, it's gonna turn against you, I feel.
What were you gonna say, Gabe? Hold on one second.
I was gonna say, I was listening to this podcast earlier, and just kind of showed how much we take advantage of our freedoms.
Why the restriction of freedom? Well, I proposed the restriction of freedom as a theme, and I didn't get the response that I expected from them. I expected them to be like, oh, that's BS. No, why should our freedom be restricted? But we actually came to a pretty good consensus. The restriction of our freedom is for our protection, and it's for the mutual benefit of society as a whole.
In what way?
There are certain freedoms that need to be restricted to keep us from, I don't want to say an anarchy, but to keep us close from it. We were talking about, Penelope said, if, let's just say, someone wanted to assume residence just in the woods somewhere. We're
Homeless people do by 85 and 285 and 20.
Okay, sure, but they're right. I get what you're saying, but they're not. This is. I know you can be homeless by choice, but this is.
Well, you're saying taking residence in the woods, that's what they're doing. And I know being homeless by choice may be in our perception by choice, but the reality of it is that everyone's only so many doctor visits, so many emergencies, or one emergency or one doctor visit away from becoming homeless.
Everyone got mad, but it's
you say
that's their business. They can do whatever they want.
Right?
It's not
Residency or whatever, the freedom of extraction part of it.
Yeah, I get what Colton's saying, but I kind of want to go back to what Tony was saying about why political correctness is necessary in some sense. It's okay, yeah, we have the freedom of speech. We can joke about whatever we want, like Colton said, without legal repercussions, but you're gonna hear me keep saying it, that sometimes that can be an infringement upon someone else's human rights. If I say something, or you like being safe in your own country, right? I'm sure we all do, and it's gonna sound like a stupid question to ask, but we live in a day where saying something that someone says can make me feel unsafe. And me feeling unsafe in a place that I assume residence, it's never okay. Like, that's an infringement upon my human rights. If I can't feel safe in the country that I live in, that's when it becomes a problem, and that's when we have to rely on political correctness. Like, sure, yeah, I like, you know me, Tony, like, I joke around a lot. Coach Meza knows me. I've said some, like, that's kind of what, that's humor, and it's okay to joke about those things, but we do have to know that there's a line, and when that line is crossed, there will be legal repercussions. And I know you know that, because when we were just talking, we defined freedom as the ability to make any choice you please with regards for the consequences that would result. So we carry ourselves the way we feel, like we carry ourselves in the way that we want to, and that's where our freedom lies. But we do that knowing that there will be repercussions and consequences, whether good or bad.
We'll go with Penelope, then I'll respond.
And we do have the freedom to know that we have a choice in what we say, and know that we have a choice in what we do, and know the consequences of that.
So that's where the freedom lies, is knowing what you cannot do, and knowing what the consequences would be. But for me, I would kind of like, I'm not gonna lean one way or the other, but my devil's advocate to you would be, you know, but how are you truly free if there are restrictions on the consequences of your actions or the consequences of your words? I mean, if you're truly free and there are no restrictions, right? Regardless of you knowing the consequence or not. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna go up to somebody and slap somebody. I'm not gonna go kill somebody, right? Like those have consequences by the law, right? But me stating an opinion on how I feel, or me having a conversation with a friend, was it 6 years ago? 5 years ago, when he was like 13 years old or something like that, 14 years old? Like, you know, and obviously we don't know the context of what that was going back and forth, because you guys know how you play around with your.
This is the only country where that's even like, no other country has the amount of freedom of speech that we do. Like, if you go to even like all the places that people say are better, you can't go out and say whatever you want and do whatever you want, or like say whatever you want and not get in trouble for it.
No, it still happens here, only not on the same scale as it does in other countries. Like, people, like, I was just, it was just happening in the news. I was listening to ESPN, and they brought up how somebody went back and dug up Kyler Murray's old tweets, and it said, because he made like a homophobic joke or homophobic comment, and now as soon as he wins the Heisman, people want to go back and try to dig up dirt on something that he achieved, but that's where I think that freedom of speech is like limited in the country, because you can say whatever you want, but once you accomplish something, it's gonna like turn against you, I feel.
Well,
What were you gonna say, Gabe? Hold on one second.
I was gonna say, like, I was listening to this podcast earlier, and it's like kind of showed how much we take advantage of our freedoms.